how to never have a bad first date with a woman again. This video is mainly for men. If you're a girl, you can watch. I don't really see any benefit for you, but you're welcome to stay. For the guys that are watching, I think, crucial advice, because me personally, I've gone on a lot of first dates, and genuinely, I kind of need to chill the fuck out. This isn't on some ego shit. Like, I'm not trying to be like, yo, I get girls, whatever. I don't give a fuck. Like, I want to date less, because the more you date and it doesn't have real significance for your personal life, like your career, and just, they don't lead to anything more intimate and have substance with you and going forward, you don't really want to spend that much time on them. And so I personally want to step back from dating going forward. But what I have learned from dating a lot of first dates that have gone really well, and, I'm not going to shelter it. I have had sex a lot on first dates, and they have come back reaching out for more dates. And the reason for that is because of the list of things I wrote down, which I'm going to show you. But first, I want to explain some issues. So I wrote down in my notebook some notes. I'll be going back and forth looking. I'll do some jump cuts to save you time. So one thing I notice on first dates, because I ask a lot of questions, and I'm going to explain why you should do that a little bit later. But I want to say that one of the things that comes up when I'm talking about girls, past or whatever, is that they always talk about, like, I'll ask something like, what's the worst first date you've ever been on? Like something casual that can lead to an entertaining story. But usually the responses I get are, there's a lot of guys that lack social awareness, and they try to be too intimate, and they don't know how to read the room. And that comes from lack of experience, lack of charm, lack of social awareness, a multitude of things. But the reason for that is because, one, guys don't, like I said, have charm. And so, like, the way you should approach a first date is you should be charming. Like, there's certain characters in TV shows where, they're flirting, like that type of charm. Like, this might be a bad example, as the character itself, but the situations. Like Joe from You is a great example. He's very charming in person. Don't be a fucking psycho like him, but he is a great example of that charm you should have with a girl on the first date. Calm. He has little witty jokes he makes with the girl. He's very light in terms of the way he interacts with them. There's nothing too serious brought up until later on dates. Like that, if you watch that show, the way he approaches dating in person is very good until he becomes crazy about it, what he does outside of it. But the way he treats dates is a great way to be charming on dates. And so a lot of guys, they don't know how to be charming, and that's because they don't self-reflect or analyze what they're actually doing. Like, they want something, and so they just act on it. Like, for instance, there was a girl who recently told me there was a guy who was trying to kiss too much, like, on the first date. And it wasn't even in the right way. Like, they were out, like, axe throwing. And this guy was, like, being too lovey-dovey, trying to kiss on her. Which is just, like, the worst thing you could do is just be too intimate and not know the room, read the room, Like, if I'm getting something on the first date, like, if it leads to something intimate, it's because, like, we've already had a fun night and we're back in my room. And that's when, they're like, okay, make the move. Like, that, it's that kind of energy. But you should just be trying to get to know them and have fun. And that leads me to the point I brought up earlier, which is asking questions. This is not a diss on a woman, because it's just the reality of what it is. They like to talk about themselves. And so if they like to talk about themselves, become curious to ask them about themselves. And what you'll notice, a few things, is that the more you do it, the better questions you ask, and it gets easier for you. And you start to think about, like, it helps you dictate the conversation where you want to go. You ask them about one thing, and then it becomes easier to relate to them. Like, oh, I've done this thing. And then also, how to, once you start asking more, how to tie things back in together. And it's kind of like entertainment to a degree. Your first date, you are gesture maxing, like people always say. You are an entertainer. And so asking entertaining questions is part of it. I got that skill when I used to do public interviews on the street, but then I just tied it into dating, and it helped create more inside jokes and find things that me and her relate to. So don't be like weird about it. Like, don't be like, just ask questions. But that is a great way to break silence and stuff, is to that's how you get to know them, is you ask questions. asking questions is a great way to dictate the flow of the date. Another point I brought up is lack of self-reflection. And so a lot of guys will go on these dates and they have bad moments. They don't really understand what they did wrong. A lot of guys don't like to think, especially if something bad happened to them, because they're worried about, they're scared of reliving that moment. They don't want to relive that moment because it makes them feel cringe, and they don't want to feel like they did something wrong. They'd rather internalize it and say, oh, fuck that chick. Like, I don't need her, whatever. Like, that's that energy they have. But the truth is that you were likely the one who did something wrong. Most times, if the first date goes bad, you probably did something wrong, because a lot of girls are open for the date to go well. They want you, like, they're giving you a chance, unless they're using you for dinner, which has happened to me. The only bad dates I've ever had are like weird ass girls that use me for dinner. It's happened like twice, and it's very easy to pick out because they just want to like fucking leave like after dinner, even if, and you can kind of tell going into it, but it's really rare. And it's like they have the Miami like BBL like type vibes. Those are the chicks that would do that. Anyways, also another thing to point out is once you get enough experience, to go back onto the question thing, you'll start, it'll also be a way for you to dictate if this girl is someone you actually want to go on more dates with, because they'll interact back with you more. So like a girl that's like, she could be interested and not ask questions, but that means she just really only cares about herself. Like, she's self-centered, and you want a girl that, everyone likes to talk about themselves, but they also ask questions back and they want to get to know you. And a girl who can match that energy is someone you want to spend time with and is actually curious about your life and intrigued with the things you do. But that also leads me to say that a lot of people aren't interesting. And so a lot of people, the reason they can't be around girls or get girls is because they aren't a person that can actually entertain her and, satisfy her needs. And why would a girl, think about it this way, why would a girl want to spend her free time with someone boring? Why would a girl want to spend her free time with someone who doesn't have life experience and doesn't have things they can relate to her with? So as a guy, not only do you want to be good at, dictating conversation, but you also want to have stories to tell. And so a lot of guys, they don't have a dream or a purpose. They're okay with everything handed to them. The reason that, and I don't even believe in all like that, like a lot of the red pill BS. Like I see a lot of valid points to it, but there's a lot of like weird shit. Like, bear with me what I'm about to say. You shouldn't be obsessive over having a ton of women, because it actually devalues your time if you're spending a ton of time on women. You want to get to the point where you have a beautiful woman that you can actually build something with, which is like PewDiePie type shit. Like, he is the grand finale of the family you want. You want to have that nuclear type family because it saves you time. But the sad reality is in Western civilization, this is where the red pill's right, is that you, as a guy, will probably have to date a lot unless you are going somewhere like the passport bros. Like, that shit is true. Because a lot of girls here, they will view you lustfully. And, like, I've literally had girls, like, use me for sex. Like, and, I told that to one of my buddies. They're like, well, that's not such a bad thing to be used for, I guess. And although it's right, at some point it does become a waste of time. And the more you date, you'll realize you have to cut certain girls off to save yourself for time for things that you actually care about. And it does become an impact. But that's a ways away if you're at the stage where having bad dates. So, experience comes through a career that is purposeful, traveling, interacting with strangers, and saying yes to things you didn't think you'd want to do. And so having these stories and experiences will allow you to be more relatable when you're asking questions, and also just have stories to tell. And as a guy, one of the quotes I heard recently that I really liked was from, I'm not a fan of, some of the Shark Tank people, but I think it was Kevin O'Leary. And I've heard he's doing some bad shit. I don't really care to get into all that shit. But he did say a quote I liked. I think it was him, or maybe it was Mark Cuban. He said, how can I make this year exponentially better than last year? And so as a guy, that is one way you should approach life to become a more interesting person. Maybe I'll make a whole separate video talking about that because I really do like that talking point. But approaching this way of life will allow you to become a person that can always be not just entertaining for girls you're dating on first dates, but also just people in your life. You want to be a character that is interesting. But to go back onto the other point I was saying is the sad truth is a lot of girls are lustful and they don't really care to build something with you. You have a higher chance if you're, have characteristics. One of the things I wanted to mention is that how women view men. And I got this from Patrice O'Neill, and it makes sense. Women view men as lottery tickets. A lottery ticket with sentimental value. And a lot of the girls, even if they don't want to commit to you, they do, feel things for you. They do have a bond with you. But the truth is that they have a much broader dating market than we do. It is much, think about it. All of us are trying to get them. And so they have options. And as a guy, you have to create your own life to have a similar playing field of options and have the skills to get a girl, to have a similar view they have in the dating market. But they view you as a lottery ticket. And so their options are, what is the best option that will allow me to live the life that they want to live at some point? So if they can choose the right lottery ticket, they are basically set for life. And that's why, women initiate divorce the most. I think it's, 80+% of women initiate divorces. So knowing that you are a lottery ticket, you have to find the woman that wants to hold on to that lottery ticket, even if it's cashed out. And so, damn, I just cooked right there. I've never even said that before, but that is the way you should view it. It's because, think about it this way. A beautiful woman is always with a guy that is of high value. Like, you rarely see anything different than that. And so although it might be not the way you want things to be, you don't want reality to be that way. You wish it could be fairy tales and roses, and it can be, but you have to become the man that they want to fall in that fantasy with. And so that fantasy includes you becoming established and someone who can actually provide, because they don't want someone that, all the things I mentioned all go into a high value person. They don't want someone that doesn't self-reflect. They don't want someone that doesn't have self-control. They don't want someone that isn't financially stable to some degree. They don't want someone that isn't charming, entertaining. They don't want someone that doesn't have those things, because the opposite of those does not make them feel safe. And so if they don't feel safe, why would they want to have sex with you? Like, you just feel creepy to them if you don't have these traits. Another reason, there is guys that are established, and some of them have swag to some degree, but they don't have good fashion choices. And so initially, it's actually kind of funny. People date usually within someone that they're similar to, like their aesthetic, I guess. You usually see that to some degree, but as someone who has good fashion in general can usually be taken more seriously. Like, if you're still wearing skinny jeans and it's 2026, you need to reevaluate your choices, because no girl's going to want to keep going on dates with someone that fucking looks like Hot Topic from 2010. You need to also reevaluate your fashion choices. And I have certain advice, but I kind of dress like a TikTok fuckboy, so I don't know if you want to get your fashion choices from me, but I do recommend, maybe go for... Every guy could probably pull this off. Go for a Sopranos look, certain type suits or certain type button-ups, nice watch, nice silver watch. You can't go wrong with that. Ditch the skinny jeans, dress higher class, dress like I kind of have like a Justin Bieber like type wardrobe. Like, you either have something like that or you have classy. And so do not be rocking shit that most girls don't fuck with. That is probably a big choice into why certain girls don't date certain guys, is because they don't have fashion. And they do care about these things. I've heard this multiple times. Another issue guys have is the same issue that I kind of mentioned earlier with questions, is that like if a girl doesn't seem intrigued with your life, don't make her intrigued with your life. Don't talk about yourself too much. Too many guys on first dates, they think that they are interesting, and a lot of them aren't, and they don't care to get to know the other person, and they only talk about themselves. That is like the number one ick for just people in general, not even just women. Like, think about it. If she just talked about herself, like didn't do anything else, didn't laugh with you, you wouldn't want to go out with her. I have a buddy who went on a first date with this girl who only talked about herself, and he's like, yeah, she's cute, but I don't know if I want to see her again because she only talks about herself. Do not be that person. No one wants to fucking hear just about you. They're going on a date to flatter their ego. Learn how to interact with them, okay? And be interested in them. Do not just be interested in yourself. You'll be like a fucking American Psycho. And although you might like the edits, that is not the way you want to approach dating. Another issue guys have is they go to places on first dates that just suck. You don't want to go somewhere trashy for dinner. Like, and if you're too poor to go somewhere semi-nice, you probably shouldn't be on a fucking date, okay? Take them somewhere it's easy to have fun. A movie is not a good first date unless it's something trending. Like, I might take a girl on a first date soon to go see that movie Obsession or maybe The Backrooms. Those are fine. But in general, don't do movies. My recommendation is if they like to drink, go out for some drinks and dinner. If they don't, then just go to an arcade. I still usually go to the arcade anyways. An arcade bowling place is fun. Some girls say they don't like bowling on a first date, but if you do other activities with it, it's fine. And also, you can like make it fun. A good way to make bowling a good first date activity is to put a challenge on it. Like, if I beat you by this much, we get to do this like on the next date. Like something like that. Bowling is a great first date if you do other things with it. But arcade, banger. Dinner is great. And I'd say avoid things too romantic. Make it fun and have moments of intimacy, with connection through conversation. And if things are going well and you could tell she's attracted to you, you can ask her if she wants to go back to your place, if you're someone that wants to do that. If she says yes, then you can read the room from there. But if she doesn't, then don't pressure anything and just wait for the next date or multiple dates down the line before trying to get more intimate. I probably can make another video diving deeper into this, but I think this is great generic first date advice for people that do not have a lot of the skills they should have, and this is great advice for how to approach first dates. This isn't advice about how to pick up girls. I don't even know if I care to do that. Maybe I will. But yeah, so hopefully you can self-reflect more on why things have gone wrong in the past, but please do take the time to listen to this advice because it will genuinely benefit you. Thanks for watching.